first question is about like the tour. I think like the whole tour, like the aspect of it, I think it's amazing. The fact that you guys are doing like, the free workshops for, young aspiring authors. Like, how did you guys come up with that and decide, which cities you wanted to do?
Well, the idea for a tour was originally Kat's idea. She wanted to do just a fun road trip with us, as we're all friends. And then the whole giving back thing happened. Sort of the original spark came after Sarah and I met one of my favorite authors, and this woman was kind enough to take us out to dinner and let us grill her. I mean, she invited us.
We were like strangers, like actual strangers. Like the only thing we had in common was that we were
writing books.
Yeah, we were writing books.
But she's like been in this industry for 30 years. Her first book was published in 1980. I wasn't even born yet, and she was nice enough to take us out to dinner and let us grill her with questions, and she was just so friendly and introduced us to this idea that's really common in the adult fantasy fiction, fantasy and sci-fi world of giving back and paying your blessings forward, and that just like really resonated with us.
Mm-hmm. And then you guys, I think right after that dinner that night, called me in like an excited frenzy, being like, we figured it out. We figured out how to make the tour more than just a tour. Because like we did want to do traditional signings, but we're all on the road together and did want to connect with young aspiring writers in some sort of intimate, giving back setting. So they called it this idea of maybe we can do that. Maybe we can host these workshops for kids. We all started writing really young and had mentors who helped us. Maybe we could do that, for the 13 and up bracket of young aspiring writers. And then in terms of how we decided where to go, we just kind of said, let's start at BEA and maybe we'll figure it out.
We knew we wanted to go start in New York and then wind up like in Chicago. But then like actually how we got there was kind of flexible. We had like a vague like plan at one point, and then we wound up working with this amazing publicist who was able to look at our list of cities we wanted to hit up and say, that wouldn't get a great crowd, but like going to Baltimore instead of DC would be awesome because they don't get that many events there.
And saves us some time.
And saves us
travel as much. So.
And then like once like she like kind of like figured out like the map, we just listened to her. We obeyed.
Yeah. So when you guys went in New York, did because you just did BA, you didn't do like a workshop thing there, so Philly was your first one?
No, I mean, the only thing outside of BEA that we did was the Teen Author Carnival.
It took BEA just so crazy in New York City.
I mean, like every day, like we were getting up at 5 a.m. every day and going until like 1 a.m. every night with like events like one after another for
meetings and stuff.
Meetings, parties, like all that craziness. So we wanted to do something, but then like common sense stepped in and was like, nope, you will die and you won't even have the time.
And some of that was our publicist too, just saying like you can do it if you really want, but I think
you are so busy.
And it's a busy time, and like all the really book-loving people and librarians and stuff like that are in New York are at BEA anyway, and like it just was a little too much, but maybe another time.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice because actually I did some events where I got to meet like booksellers and talk to them a little bit about the tour, and so I got a lot of cards. And, if you come, like if you do this next year, and you're like going through Maine or whatever, let me know. So it was good. It was good actually for if we do this again. It was good for networking. It's just like fun to meet like fans that might not have been able to meet us on the tour. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one thing with BA. One of the best things is the networking, meeting all the people that you meet. Like while I was there, I met a producer, which I just thought was like insane. I was like, okay.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay. So since Philly was the first one, how would the turnout go? Like how did that go?
Well, we've been capping them at 20 on purpose, so there'll never be more than roughly 20 people because we wanted to keep it intimate. There's 4 of us, and if you have too many, it just gets a little stretched thin. But we had 2 workshops in Philly. The first was in a really nice suburban community. We had about, I think, like 11 or 12. It was all girls at that one. Small new bookstore. And then the second one we did was actually like with, it was like in downtown Philly. It's the
Mighty Writers.
Yeah. It's called Mighty Writers. It was a nonprofit community. It's like an after-school program that kids have to actually apply to get in. It's like inner-city kids. And that one was, we had a lot. We had like almost 20 at that, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that was like really awesome. The kids were just so enthusiastic.
that was like one of those events where it's like so fun that you leave the event energized instead of like totally drained, because the kids were just like so like into it. And just like, I mean, that workshop was kind of like what we like had like hoped the workshops would be like going into this. So it was really rewarding. And we well, I don't know, did you guys go to the children's author breakfast at BEA where Veronica Roth spoke?
No, my friend did, but I didn't.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to get to go to that. And the author of the Magic Treehouse series was speaking, and she talked about how she used to visit a lot of like inner city schools, and how there's like some crazy statistic that like there's one book for every 250 kids in like households in like some inner city areas, and how she has made a point of like giving back to the community and like just donating like hundreds of thousands of copies of her books to areas that are like really in need of them. So like I was like crying during this breakfast because I was just so moved by this woman and all that she did, and I knew that we'd be going into some areas and doing workshops with kids that might be one of those where they did not have enough books in their house. So at the breakfast, I pretty much just took everything that was like free on the table, like copies of Divergent, like, you know, we had Percy Jackson t-shirts, because like Rick Riordan spoke there and he was awesome too. So I grabbed those in case there were Percy Jackson fans like at our workshops. And we all compiled all the books, all the arcs, all the free books we got at BEA that like weren't somehow personalized to us by our good friends. It was all of like 2 books. So it was like maybe like 50 books or something. Like we had like a crap ton of books that we just hauled to this event and then gave out to these kids at Mighty Writers. We just setting up, pick whatever books you want.
And then whatever was left over, because it was a center where they had a little mini library area, we gave them the rest of the books.
And the kids that were like Percy Jackson fans got those t-shirts.
When I like, when I said like who's a Percy Jackson fan, like this kid was like, and then I was like, well, I have a surprise for you. And then I like brought out this like t-shirt that says Camp Half-Blood on it. There were actually 2 t-shirts that were just like that, and like he and his brother were big fans, so they each got a t-shirt, and they were just like flipping out. Like I like had to like walk away because I was gonna like burst into tears.
Sarah burst into tears.
I cried very
often.
easily, but like it was just like really really nice to like and these kids were just like so. I mean, not like grateful. Like I feel like sounds like slightly condescending to say like they were so grateful, but like it was nice to see them so excited about books and to like do something, you know, nice for someone. Because we get a lot of books that just wind up sitting on our shelves, and I don't donate them as often as I should.
Yeah.
So I think this will start a big trend
Both
for me, at least, just for
great.
donating stuff, like books, because it was cool.
It was nice.
Yeah, it was really cool. They were really great kids. That was like the best, that workshop.
Yeah, both workshops were successful, I think, but that second one was like really awesome.
Yeah.
I just think, because like you said, I was thinking of the statistic in the back of my head the whole time we were there, whereas like the first one we did was a very nice area. So.
Yeah, it was like, you know, the first one we did, some of the kids had their own like laptops, like, you know, MacBooks.
They were like
12-year-olds.
11 years old, but their own personal.
And they were nice.
Apple
The kids
computers.
were wonderful and nice and loved writing too. But it was really nice to go like into downtown Philly, where like this center exists for kids who are passionate about writing
and all that.
And then we had a nice, pretty intimate event last night at downtown Barnes & Noble in Philly, where we got to chat up close and personal with a bunch of readers and meet some lovely bloggers. And then the awesome E.C. Myers, who just won the Norton.
Andre Norton,
hi.
He showed up.
Which was a cool guy.
Yeah. Yeah, because like it's great when like, you know, like bloggers and readers show up, and then when the other authors show up, especially because we don't really know Eugene.
We didn't know him, and he took the time to come.
He was
see
just
us,
another
so
Twitter avatar.
yeah,
Like I talked with him fairly often, but still, like it's so fun to see the person in the flesh.
Yeah,
You know?
and it
So
means
it's
a
nice.
lot that he did that. He was really cool. If you guys ever like EC,
Reed Faircoin.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, he was awesome guy. That was kind of our Philly.
That was
Whirlwind.
Philly in a nutshell.
Because that's one of the things, like with the DC area, like she was saying earlier, there's a lot of authors that live in this area, and so when you go to events, you always find them coming out and supporting other authors, which I think is fantastic, to support each other.
Yeah, it's really nice. It always means a lot. It's really
Yeah, because it's not like, I mean, it's one thing when you're like are a book blogger and that's kind of what you do and you want to read books and meet the authors. But for other authors, you know, that's not even, oftentimes other people's books aren't even on my radar. So for them to come out and see us, it's really nice.
All right. So there was a fun question that somebody submitted. If you had to pick a theme song for your book, what would it be?
Oh God.
Mine's
sorry.
always like Florence and the Machine Blinding.
So you finally found that
that was
the
the
name.
Yeah, that was the name. Florence and the Machine Blinding.
I should probably look it up to make sure that this is on.
Maybe Bad Girls by MIA.
Oh God.
There's a 2-part song by Phoenix called Love Like a Sunset. There's like 2 parts, part 1 and 2. It's 2 different tracks, but it's completely instrumental except for I think 3 lines at the end of the second song. And there's just something about like the build in that to me that reminds me a lot of the book with like Ray discovering answers and truths. Nice. So I always kind of liked that one.
I think mine's Bones by MSMR.
Oh, I like that.
Dig up the bones but leave the soul alone. That's the chorus line. It totally fits my story. Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that.
So.
So all of you guys either have your second books coming out this year, or yours would probably be next year.
Yeah, early next year.
How different is it from writing the first book to writing a sequel?
It's hard.
It's hard because I think when you write the first book, you have the freedom of taking as long as you want, and not really having that.
No expectations.
Yeah, there's no like audience inside your head. The audience can include readers, your editor, your agent, your friends, your family. Like it grows and grows and grows. And then, I mean, when you have your second book, you're on deadline. So you have a ticking clock, and then you also have that audience that is just like constantly.
And speaking of the audience too, I think it's like what's hard for me is that the negative and the positive reviews like both get in my head. Like even the positive's almost worse.
Yeah, from your editor. I mean, anyone.
Yeah.
Any sort of negative or positive from anywhere.
Because
can
we're all
mess
like
with you.
pleasers. We want to please our audience. We want to please our readers, and so you always worry. Like even if someone's like, "I love this about your first book," and then you're like, "I really hope I make that in the second book as well." And it's hard sometimes, especially with sometimes you just get this thing where you're like, you have 1 month, and you're like, "I want to make all these changes, but I can't make them in this month." And at the end of the month, you turn it in. You're like, "If only I had another month, it could be so much better."
It could be exactly
And
what
I think,
want.
I mean, we were writing our sequels before book 1 even came out.
Yeah.
But then like we were still getting early reviews and stuff, and I think.
There's also, because of the time frame and the pressure, it's really easy to forget why you love writing. Mm-hmm. You sort of, there's this like gap between when you sell your book and you poured your heart and soul into the first book, and then there's a pretty long gap before maybe you even start writing book 2. And you kind of forget how to write, how to get inspired, how to love your story. And I feel like everyone has to forget how to ride a bike. You have to relearn. And then once you learn, hopefully you can keep that.
Yeah, I always say about publishing is that there is no preparation. There's no practice. Like I feel most jobs, you practice how to do your job, and then you do it for real. Or there's like a training wheel period. Like most of us, I know I've never written a sequel in my life.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just get thrown into the deep, but it's contracted and you have to do it.
Yeah, so like stupid things you have to learn, like how much you recap from the first book, like how much you like summarize, like how much you expect your readers to know, and like things like that you have no idea how to do, and suddenly it's like do it well the first time.
And then like you can't go back and change book 1 if you have this brilliant idea for book 2. Oh, no, can't change book 1. It's out there.
Yeah.
So.
And just like time management stuff, like you're doing promo for book 1.
Yeah.
You're writing book 2. I think you might still be in stages of editing
For book
book 1. And then just like you're in this whole new community of people. Where like the dynamic is like swiftly shifting, like first you just have to sell your book and it's so exciting, then you become, part of the debut group, whatever, and then like you're like, it's like a constant transitioning, where like you just feel like you're trying to catch up.
And there's no guide online. Like,
no.
Here's what's going to happen next. Like suddenly it's like, here's your edit letter. I'm like, what's an edit letter?
Yeah.
And then you figure it out. Each new step, they throw it at you, and you call your agent, and you're like, I don't know what this is. What do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say the only thing that was nice about the second book was I at least knew the steps of making the book.
Yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
the edit letter came for the second book, I was like, oh, I know what this is.
I know how to
because
do
did
it. Yeah,
once.
exactly.
But the actual drafting, like the act of writing it, is completely different than the first.
Yeah.
Like Sarah said, like I just think the first you're writing it because it hasn't sold yet, and you're just writing it because it's in your heart. Compared to the second, I think we all found the heart of our story and finally fell back in love and got the book out. But at first, it's just like, well, I have to write this no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's like
It's a very debilitating.
And one
feeling.
thing,
it's
like,
different. It's a different feel.
I know at least some of us had to do was kind of just build our own creative fortress again, where it's like you have to learn, like you have, it's not like a breaking point, but just a moment where you realize that you need to write this book and you need to find a way to fall in love with writing again, and you have to give yourself the freedom and permission, I guess, to like let go of certain things. You can't do everything at once.
You can't write a perfect draft at once.
Yeah, you like
you can't.
Yeah, because like by the end you're thinking of like how good your first book was, but
And
then
when
like
every
and then
word
when-
you write now feels
and-
like
yeah,
crud, and
and then you just have to. I
Basically,
mean,
we're all crazy.
we're all crazy. I mean, like, it's a whirlwind, and I feel like for like just in the past few months, I've been able to take a breath and like really kind of like slip into like a rhythm again. That is like I'm hoping that it's like more of a steady rhythm now, but for a while it was just like go go go, and it was like a good kind of thing because like now I feel like it's like anything that's like long and difficult. Like you come out of it stronger, like with more faith in your writing, and you find out like who your real friends are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I mean, like I wouldn't trade a second of it for anything else. But like at times you're just like the only way out is through.
Yeah. I don't even know how many times I've said that recently.
Yeah.
I still have to remind myself of that.
Yeah, like you never realize the insanity that goes behind the writing of a book. Like it seems like before, like it seems like such a calm process. You sit down, but like books are written on waves of insanity.
Yes.
That's a good line.
They are.
Yes. So I guess along with that, like with your reviews, do you guys read your reviews or do you opt not to?
Not anymore.
Usually I don't.
Sometimes
feel like
people want you to, and they'll tweet them at you, or they'll send them to you, and you kind of feel like you should click, and then you wish you hadn't. But it's hard once the voice is in your head. It's almost impossible to get that voice out of your head. And like she said, good or bad, good ones too mess with you, and it's better to just not even know. And the thing is no matter how constructive a review is, the book is done. I can't change it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that reader's point of view. And they're absolutely entitled to that. And there are books I love and books I hate. But it doesn't help me to know why you hated it, because that doesn't change the story that I have to write from here.
And I will say, like, I looked a little bit at the beginning. I think a lot of us did because you are curious about how your book is received. But once you see a couple, you're like, okay, people loved X, Y, and Z, or people hated ABC. I get the
once you
general
find yourself
feeling
like
now.
having anxiety about the good reviews,
Yeah.
Can I do this again? Like, oh my God, my second book doesn't have that thing that they loved. Like, like once you find yourself up at night, then you have to say, you know what? Like, you have to draw a line, and every writer like has that moment. I think. I mean, like some writers do read the reviews, but I know at least amongst us, we had a moment where we decided, you know what? Like, we can appreciate them, but like we don't have to read them. Just because, like, to get through the book. Sorry.
Quick pause.
It's okay.
This is Jodi Meadows.
Oh yeah, I know her. Yeah.
Suctioned. I know. I just like ripped the skin off my thighs, leaving up.
We're in the middle of an interview, but you can join us.
Okay.
You should put that in your interview. Like, how excited and jumped up when she walked.
Well, it's still recording, so.
Do you want to like pull up a chair like down?
Yeah, here. Just squeeze between us.
Yeah, come into the. She has to. Okay, come into the ring of death down here.
After the drive.
Jody's like the nice seal, and we're like the great whites that are just gonna eat her down here with our espressos.
Have you guys met her before?
No, we've like video chat. You have, but we've video chatted online.
Yeah.
Like we've never met in person before this.
Yeah, Kat and I actually.
But it feels like
Yeah.
we do a lot of video chats.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah,
Sorry.
we don't read our reviews anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I did in the beginning, and I'm glad I did in the beginning, because there were things. It was my first book, and there were things that people pointed out that like I feel like I learned, and then I did better in my second book. But again, like you said once you hit a certain point, you don't need to like keep reading. And like
I still appreciate all those reviews. Like if someone tweets one at me, I'm like, "Yay, thank you for reading," but I
it's
don't
nice
click
to know
it
that somebody
through.
cared enough to like review.
If my
is a
publisher
nice
sends along like something where it's like, hey, check out this review, then I'll like read it
Yes.
because like it has gone through them and like they I was like vocal, I told them, you know, like this is kind of how I want to do it and how I want to receive, you know, the reviews, like so they will send me ones that they, you know, think, you know, I can handle, but even then sometimes I won't go for it because we're sensitive,
because
creative
like
types.
in a way, like when you write, like I feel like when I write, the world feels real to me, and almost reading reviews like makes you realize that it's fake, and like I can't be in that mindset when I write, you know.
That's
like
interesting.
I have to their problems can't be like fake, they have to be real problems, and so I need to like
Well, I do
see
think
them.
once a book goes out, too, it's no longer just yours, it belongs to a lot of people, and that's why, like, all those other opinions are completely right, even if they conflict with each other. Like, anyone's opinion of my book is right as long as it's their opinion, but like Sue said, I still have to write the story that I'm thinking and imagining.
Yeah,
so
you can't
once
write the story that somebody
someone
else wants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's going to upset people, like, there are things in books 2 and 3 that I know people are going to hate, and I just have to write it that way anyway, because I know that's the way it has to be.
That is the right story.
So that's why I think it's just dangerous to get too many voices in your head, because you start, I've had moments where I'm like, oh, maybe Gray shouldn't do this because someone's going to be mad. And I'm like, no,
That's what he would do. That's who he is.
That's how it
and
has to be. So I think we all kind of have that inner battle.
Hi.
Hi.
Here, pull up a chair.
We're doing a mini interview.
Here,
so.
I'll slide down here and then
Yeah, then you guys can sit next to each
I'll
other.
move all my things.
Excuse me, Susan.
Hi.